Hey guys, it's Kat and I am back today to talk about products that I think deserve more hype. Now, this is a sister video to two past videos that I did the other week. One was products that I didn't think that lived up to the hype, and the other one was products that I did think lived up to the hype. And I know this topic is very different for different people because whether a product impressed you or lived up to the hype in your mind, it's completely up to you, and makeup is 100% subjective. It's based on preferences and also, more importantly, probably body chemistry. Sometimes lipsticks wear phenomenally on some people and then horribly on other people. It is what it is. There's climates involved, body chemistry involved, lifestyle involved, all these kind of things. So these are products that I personally think are great and should be hyped up a little bit more in the beauty community. Maybe not too much because then they might not live up to the hype, but people wanted to see this video, so I thought, I'll give it to you. All right, we'll start with base products. We'll sort of work our way through the makeup routine. And I want to talk about two foundations that are probably my favorite foundations in my current makeup routine. And I have heard people talk about them, but either the review isn't great or I don't hear them enough for what I think they deserve. The first one is the new Hourglass foundation. This is the Vanish Seamless Finish Liquid Foundation. I love this foundation. I'm not wearing it today, but this is sort of like my high coverage, long wearing, if I'm going somewhere all day. Like, for example, I wore this when I went to Sydney the other day. So that was a long day because we were at an event and got the last flight back. And if I want my makeup to last, I like this one. I think it looks great on camera. It looks great in photos. So even though this is a product that has been discussed quite a lot because it is a fairly new release, I don't see people rave about it as much as I think it's raveable. That makes sense. It's early. I don't know what's going on. No, I just think that this is a lot better than what I've heard people say about it. And I feel like that once again comes down to your skin type. I've got oily combination skin, and I have heard that people with oily skin tend to love this. And I think that's where it's probably best suited. If you've got dry skin, you probably don't like this, and that's totally fine. But I think the perception in the beauty community seems to be that this was a bit but I think it's fantastic. I am happy to reach for it every single day. I also think that your opinion of this might change depending on how you apply it. I think there is best practice in how to apply this, and I feel like that best practice is with a buffing brush and the smallest amount possible, because if you do build this up a little bit too much, it can look quite cakey, can feel a little bit cakey, and it can look like you're wearing noticeable makeup. But if you do use one pump or even less if possible, and you sort of really buff it in and work it in a really thin layer, it's gorgeous. It's a fantastic foundation. So it's one that I really enjoy reaching for these days. Another one that I don't hear many people talk about, and this might be because it's an older release, but this is my second bottle. This is actually in my backup drawer, and I love it. This is by Lancome, and it's a Teint Idol. It's the Ultra Wear 24-hour foundation. Now, I wouldn't wear this for 24 hours, but I think it's a fantastic foundation. I love the amount of coverage. It's not full coverage, so you don't look like you're wearing a mask. But at the same time, it's definitely enough coverage that hides most of your sins. You don't need to go in and like wear a lot of concealer. It covers enough for you to look sort of pretty flawless, but also like your skin is skin. It's got a nice sort of comfortable semi-matte finish, and it wears really, really well. It's a foundation that I know I could apply and not have to babysit throughout the day. I think with both of these foundations, if you do want it to wear like a ridiculous amount of time, like 18 hours or whatever it might be, you will have to blot at some stage and maybe repowder. But they're pretty solid foundations. And this is, yeah, like I said, my backup because I love it. And as soon as I use up a lot of my foundations in my collection that I don't love as much, I'm just going to keep this in my collection because it's great. All right, before we move on to eyes and lips and whatnot, I wanted to talk about some finishing sprays. Now, I did talk about MAC Fix Plus. I love MAC Fix Plus, and that was in the video of products that I thought were worth the hype. And this is a similar concept. So this is by Shu Uemura, and it is the Makeup Refresher Mist. So this is a liquid that also has little bits of oil. So it's a biphase product, but it's not half oil, half liquid. It's just got a small layer of oil at the top. So you do shake it, and it's a micro mister product. So you apply it, and I recommend closer, because if you apply it too far away, like if I'm doing like where the camera is, I don't know, you can't even see. If I do it too far away, you actually can't even really feel the mist because it's so ultra fine, which is great. So you don't get the dots of liquid on your face. But if you don't want to have to like spray 20 times to actually feel it, I say get a bit closer. So around here, and it's a joyous experience. So it does give you the rehydration. It even if holding it quite close, it's a micro mist, so it doesn't just splurt bits everywhere. And it's a beautiful rehydrating spray. So this is used as a similar step to MAC Fix Plus. This is not to prolong your makeup. It's more to take down the powderiness of your makeup, make all your makeup sort of meld together a little bit better and look more like skin. This is beautiful. It's my favorite scent of the four. There are four. This is the Sakura one. So that is Cherry Blossom. It's beautiful, sweet, light, fresh. My second favorite is actually the Yuzu one, which is a yellow. Yes, I have them all. And yes, I'm going to spray more. This is, oh, it's beautiful. It's so Yuzu is a citrus. It's a citrus fruit, and it doesn't have like a sweet sort of vibe going on. It's more like a fresh citrus. So if you like fresh citruses, this one's fantastic. My next favorite is Cypress, which has more of a herbal sort of scent to it. So yeah, it's more green. It's more, I don't know, almost smells herbal. And then the one that's my least favorite is the blue, and this is Shobu, which is very, I don't know, it's kind of, I feel like this is quite like cologne scenty. It's a little bit masculine. So this is my least favorite out of all four, but my two favorites are the pink and the yellow, and I love these. These are expensive, but you can use them, like I've been using them for quite some time, and you barely use any because it's such a small mist, but it does make your makeup look really beautiful. It feels really beautiful. It's a great rehydrator. If you're a makeup artist and you want to give your clients a really luxurious experience, these are fantastic because they just feel like, I don't know, you're in a spa and you're getting a nice micro mist and something's happening. It's gorgeous. So these I never hear anyone talk about except for me and Haley, and they're really fantastic. And of course you don't need them all. That's very excessive. I would say if you can try them in store and pick the one that you really like the scent of the most, because that's the only thing that's different about them is the scent. I would repurchase these time and time again. These, once I use them up, I probably will keep the bottles for like collection purposes, but yeah, they're not my favorite. All right, in my products that I think are worth the hype video, I did mention a couple of Too Faced products, and I said that even though I think they're worth the hype and they're great, they're not my favorite Too Faced products from the range. So I am going to talk about my two favorite Too Faced products in this video. The first one is an eye product, and it is the glitter glue. This stuff is fantastic, definitely worth checking out if you want glitters or shimmers to really last well on the eye and apply really well on the eye. This is just essentially a primer. I've seen glitter glues that are quite involved, like they're liquids and you put them and you gotta wait for them to be like a bit tacky and you gotta like pat them on. This is like a primer. This is just a normal primer. It's got a squeezy tube. You take some out. It's a normal primer. If you can see it there, you blend it in like a normal primer, but it does stay tacky compared to other primers that can set down. But I think it makes a world of difference. It's really great at gripping glitters to the eye. So if I'm using a pigment or a glitter, I will put this down first. What I tend to do if I want to have an all over sort of shimmer or glitter look, I will put the primer all over my eye. I will set the crease with a matte, just like a nude tone matte. So the mattes are easier to blend over this sticky. Or what I tend to do if I find an eyeshadow isn't as bold as I'd like it to be, and I've already put my sort of mattes on and the other eyeshadow on, I will get a little bit of the primer, I'll blend it onto my finger and tap it on. If you blend it too much, it will disrupt your other eyeshadow, but if you just tap a little bit on, it adds that grippiness to then put another layer of shimmer or glitter on, which is fantastic. So this is still sticky, and I might demonstrate it. All right, I'm going to demonstrate it with the shade in the Coloured Raine Beauty Rust palette, because this is a shimmer that I think is beautiful in the pan, but it's a little bit lackluster on the eye. So if I just get some of that, it's a little bit crumbly. So this side had no primer, so we're just gonna rub some on there. So it's not bad, but on the eye it doesn't apply as bold. Got a little bit more for the sticky base place. So you can see already that over the primer, it's way more bold. So yeah, it's not just for glitters, but if you do want your shimmer to be more intense on the eye, it's great. And also if you wipe things off, it will stay really, really bold. So it's a great primer. The next eye product that I think is really, really handy, and even though whenever you see people talk about this, they do talk about it very favorably, I still feel like there's not enough people that have this in their collection. In my collection, it's a staple, and I sort of, when you first get it, you might only use it a couple of times. You're like, oh yeah, it's not, yeah, it works, but I don't really use it. But then over the years, you start realizing how much you reach for it. And it is Inglot Duraline. So this is a little sort of liquid in a dropper. And I've had this for a long time and I've used the smallest amount. But you use this to rehydrate things. So for example, if you've got a gel eyeliner that's drying out, you've got a brow pomade that's drying out, you've got a Super Shock shadow that's drying out, you can rehydrate the whole thing with this, but it's better long term to just rehydrate a portion. So if I had a pot gel liner or something and it was starting to dry out, I would get a drop of it. I would drop one drop in one area, and I would sort of mix my brush in to sort of reactivate that area, use the product, and then when that area is sort of starting to dry out again in a couple of weeks' time, you would do it again. And I feel like this is great. It's also really good at creating sort of paints and liners that are waterproof. So if I want to reach for something like a multi-chrome pigment and turn it into a liner, or if I want to turn any pigment into a paint, this is how I do it, and I'm going to demonstrate that really quickly. So this is just a little multi-chrome pigment. This is from Dawn Eyes Cosmetics, and these are beautiful and they apply beautifully with the glitter glue, so you don't need to foil these or apply them wet, but sometimes I do like to use these as a liner. So what I would do is I'll just tap a little bit into the lid, so just a tiny bit in the lid. Then I've just added a drop of Duraline in there, and just with a brush you mix it up. Okay, I've decided to use a big brush so you can see it easily in this video, but I would use just a liner brush and it will. Okay, that was a semi-bad example because this brush sort of absorbed a lot of it. If you do use a small amount and then you just use like a liner brush, you can create a beautiful line with this sort of effect. But it turns pigments into paints that are really, really bold. And this is, I don't know if you can see, it's multi-chrome. It looks red in one angle. To me, it looks like green gold. And then in other angles, it looks purple. So it's a multi-chrome liner. It looks gorgeous on the eye. But this actually turns it, it sets it and turns it waterproof as well. So yeah, it's not as if you've mixed it with water and it starts crumbling off and rubbing off. This actually makes it really budge proof as well. So it's a great little product. So I reach for this a couple of times a week easily. So whether or not I'm creating something cool like this, or I'm just using it functionally because it helps rehydrate other products. I've heard people use it in like dry mascaras. I haven't personally done that because I've got so many mascaras that when I've used one up, I'm like, yay, onto a new one. But yeah, you can really use it to get longevity out of dried up products, which is fantastic. All right, let's continue with eye products, and a brand of eyeshadow that I really, really like, but no one ever talks about, in my opinion, is Bare Minerals. Now, I think the reason why no one talks about Bare Minerals is that these days their eyeshadow palettes are really boring. Their permanent eyeshadows are quads that are like the copper quad and the, I don't know, latte quad and the, I don't know, they're all sort of like boring. So I feel like it's a bit chicken and the egg. I think if people were buying more of Bare Minerals eyeshadow, they would maybe start creating more interesting stuff. But then at the same time, people would buy more of it if they created more interesting stuff. So I think they're shooting themselves a little bit in the foot because their formula is fantastic. I've got some limited edition palettes from a little while ago. So this is holiday last year. And this is probably one of their most interesting palettes they've released in some time. And it's not even that interesting, but the quality is beautiful. So this was their holiday palette. I just thought I'd show you as well. In mirrors, you can often see these multichrome pigments a bit better. Anyway, so the formula of this is fantastic, but it's not a really trendy color story, so I understand why people aren't super drawn to it, and that was limited edition. A few years ago, they released the Regal Wardrobe, which is my favorite palette from them of all time. You unfold it, and there's an eyeshadow little palette there and a face palette. These eyeshadows are beautiful. If I'm traveling, I just need to bring that because it's got everything I want and the quality is beautiful. So they're super boring colors, but they apply really, really nicely. Maybe I can get some more interesting colors out of this one. Oh, that green's beautiful. So, you know, the quality is great. And it's just one of those eyeshadow formulas that really pigmented, really buttery, really easy to apply. They're really, really great quality-wise. I just think that because their palettes are either limited edition, if they're half interesting, or their permanent ones are so boring. But I feel like if they put more effort into making their eyeshadows more interesting, their palettes, their quads, and being a little bit more ahead of the trends, I think that people would like adore Bare Minerals eyeshadows because they're some of my all-time favorite eyeshadows. They just aren't there trend-wise, which is a real shame. The next eyeshadow formula is one that I only recently came across, and I've been aware of the brand for a long time, but I had heard good things about them, but not enough for me to really want to delve into their palettes. And it's colored Raine. Oops, that's backwards. It's colored Raine. So this is the Safari Raine palette. This is the Beauty Rust palette, and I have ordered like one of every other one of their palettes because I was so impressed with this. The formula is beautiful. It reminds me a lot of Bare Minerals. Very buttery, very pigmented, very easy to apply. The only downfall with this sort of formula is that the mattes are skip on the eye a little bit. They take a little bit to blend, so it's best to sort of start soft and build up rather than put a lot of matte on because it can sort of skip a little bit on the eye and look a little bit patchy, so it does take a little bit to blend. But otherwise, the formula is fantastic. So the palettes that I've got at the moment are these two. I particularly love this. This one, the shimmer is a little bit, it needs like a glitter glue to make it really pop, but the mattes are beautiful. So they're so on my radar now, but I have heard about the brand for years, literally like since, I don't know, maybe I learned about them in 2015, but it took me till 2019 to actually give them a crack. And now I'm converted and I'm going to have almost a full collection of colored Raine eyeshadows because I've realized how good they actually are, and I just never heard anyone talk about them in that way that made me go, oh, I'm definitely going to place an order now because they should be on my radar. They just weren't, which is strange. All right, so I decided to narrow down lip products to only 2 formulas to talk about, but I could do a whole video about lip formulas that I think are sort of underrated because I love lip products. I try different lip products all the time. Even though these days I've been playing around with colorful eyeshadows, my classic look is just like a bronze eye with a bright lip. So I do love lip products and I love good lip products. But the 2 sort of formulas that I want to talk about that I think a lot of people don't talk enough about, in my opinion, I'm going to talk about Too Faced. So like I said before, my top 2 products from the whole Too Faced range is the glitter glue and also the melted matte lipsticks. They're liquid lipsticks. So I've got a massive collection of these. I probably have a good dozen, like of these, and then I've also got mini packs. I think they only really got some love last Christmas when they brought out this mini pack and it sold out really quickly, which is like makes sense because it's a fantastic pack. So these had new shades and they also had scented ones. So pumpkin spice, sugar cookie, cinnamon bear, hot buttered rum, all the shades were gorgeous. But I just like them in general. They're my favorite liquid lipstick of all time. And even though there are some duds in the range, like for example, even though Evil Twin is a rad color, the darker you go or the lighter you go or the brighter you go with liquid lipsticks in general, the more sort of crumbly and the more they wear off patchy. It's just the nature of liquid lipsticks. No matter what the formula is, you know, nudes in the range tend to wear the best, and so do reds or variations of reds. So like, you know, orangey reds, pinky reds, terracotta reds, they all seem to be the best performing from that particular range. So this is my favorite range overall, but there are some shades that aren't as great as others, if that makes sense. So it all comes down to the shade. And my theory about why that happens is that to get nude shades or reds, I don't feel like it needs as much pigment. If you need to get like these really dark colors or really neon colors or really pastel colors, they require a lot of pigment to make the color look really opaque on the lips, and it often makes them more drying. So nudes are a lot better. The red is gorgeous. The orangey shades are gorgeous. So yeah, not every shade in this range is perfection, but the majority of them are. And the ones that are great, they're my favorite liquid lipstick formula of all time. I can comfortably wear these. They don't feel like they're suffocating my lips. They don't feel like they're drying out my lips. They don't wear off crumbly or patchy or flaky or disgusting. So I know that there are a lot of people that take a stand against liquid lipsticks and hate the trend and say, you know, I don't like any liquid lipstick, like they all work badly on me. And I do agree with that to some degree because the vast majority of liquid lipstick formulas I've tried, even though they might look good on the lips, I don't love them and I just don't really reach for them. But these formulas I will reach for equally to a bullet lipstick. So yeah, melted matte liquid lipsticks from Too Faced are my favorite liquid lipsticks by far. And one reason I was reluctant to do this type of video is that I know that I'm going to be talking about products that I feature a lot on my channel, so it's going to be redundant and boring, and this one is going to be no different. So I think the Tony Moly lip stains need more hype. These are the Shocking lip stains. There's 7 shades. I've got all 7. One of them is somewhere. I think it's in my handbag. It's an orange. So they've mainly got reds and variations of reds. They've got sort of like corally sort of colors, a pink, an orangey red, a more true red, a more like blood red. Yeah, they've got variations of reds, and I think that they're all different in their own beautiful way, but these are my favorite lip tints of all time. And I have heard other people say that they prefer other lip tint formulas to these, or people that who haven't tried these were saying, no, don't worry about Tony Moly. This other brand has really great ones. Since trying the Tony Moly ones and falling in love with them, I have tried other Tony Moly lip stains. I've tried probably lip stains from a dozen other brands, and these are still my favorite. So I think lip stains, how well they last on you is going to come down to, once again, your body chemistry, how dry your lips are, etc., etc. But for me, these last 12 to 24 hours. Often I'll be going to bed with a red lip. Generally the next day when I'm washing my face is when the remnants remove completely. So these are super long wearing for me. And what I really like about them as well is they're very, very pigmented. So I'm not going to put them on my hands because they're going to stain my hands for 24 hours. But other lip stains I've tried, even though they do look really nice and the colors are really pretty, I feel like they either wear down patchy or they don't give an opaque, even finish. They give just a really sort of uneven finish, whereas these they give the effect of a bold lip and they last really well. You know, if you eat a really oily meal or something, you might need to touch up the inner portion, but these are also quite hydrating. So for the first couple of hours, it almost has like a coating on it that really hydrates your lips, and then it fades down to more of a stain. So it looks shiny to begin with. Tony Moly does have matte lip stains, which I do like, but I still like these more. But when that sort of hydrating shiny layer wears off, it turns into just a typical stain. You can put a lip balm over it if you want, or just let it look like a matte stain, and they're gorgeous. So I don't hear anyone talk about these except for me, or people that I've recommended them to, but that could be because they're Korean and, you know, English speaking channels don't really feature them very much. But you can buy these on international websites that ship elsewhere. I also picked up the majority of mine in Maya in Australia. So, you know, they are around and they're fantastic. All right, this next product is, it's a funny one because it's a product that actually changed the way I view this particular type of product. And I've been using them for years, and no one talks about them. It's an Australian brand, and I think you can get them internationally, or from their website, they ship internationally. So these are lashes by Motorrock. This is actually my lash drawer. How ridiculous is that? But the majority of my lashes in here are the same type of lashes. And I buy them in bulk, as you can see, like this is 10 of them. And I will place an order for like 25 at a time. But these are the only lashes I tend to use. I do have a lot of other lashes. I've still got some from like Japan that I bought years ago. I've got a lot of lashes in here, some even fancier lashes, but my ones that I use just on a regular basis, not those, is Motorrock. And the amount that I do have in this drawer is potentially staggering, but it's my little hidden obsession. So, you know, clearly I like these lashes. And even though, yeah, I have found lashes that I like from other brands, I keep going back to Motorrock for a few reasons. So the main reason I keep reaching for Motorrock is a few reasons. One, they're pretty affordable. I think a set of lashes is generally about $6 or $7 Australian dollars, but you can get multi-packs. And also I found two styles that I really, really love. So these are the two styles, so 241s and W376s. I adore them. They're really wispy, and I'm wearing them today. What I tend to do, because these are more symmetrical lashes, I cut them in half and I create sort of demi-wispy lashes out of them. So I don't like a full strip of lashes, so these are perfect because you chop them in half and they almost create two sets of identical lashes. So what I tend to do is I cut them right down the middle. I'll make those one pair, those one pair, and I get two pairs out of one set of lashes. These lashes are fantastic. The band is super thin, really flexible and comfortable. So I can actually reuse a set of lashes probably about 10 to 15 times before they start breaking down, which means that one of these little things can last me up to 30 uses, which is ridiculous. So I think they're really cost effective in that regard. They're very comfortable. Like I said, there's hundreds of styles, so you can pick the style that's perfect for you. These just happen to be the ones that I love the most and keep reaching for. And I use lashes probably 3 to 4 times a week these days, but before discovering these at a trade show, I never wore them. I hated lashes. They would lift in the inner corner. They would ruin my makeup because my eyes would get all teary, but these are phenomenal. I also really like their latex-free lash glue. They're great. I've gone through a couple of those in the past. But 241s are the ones I fell in love with. W376s are very similar, a little bit longer, but these are always on sale. They must have made heaps of them, but I buy them in bulk because they're usually $2 a pair, which is crazy. So that's my little secret obsession. Yeah, my secret obsession is Motorrock lashes, and that's how I comfortably wear lashes a few times a week. So hopefully you can see I've just got them on the outer half here, and what I just do is I just put some lash glue on and I just go plonk, and I don't need to worry about making sure that they stick down because they just stick on there. They add a bit of length, definition to the eye, and yeah, so that people are like, you've got nice lashes. I don't, I just use half lashes and they're beautiful and comfortable. So yeah, not affiliated, but that's my little secret thing. I also have some other like designs in there that I've picked up randomly at trade shows. I'm like, I'll try some other ones, but then they just sit in a little pile because I keep going back for the 241s or W376s, and the fact that I know the numbers off the top of my head shows you that I've been using them for probably going on 5 years now. It's crazy. All right, last two things I wanted to talk about skincare product. So people have asked me to do these types of videos, so like products worth the hype, not worth the hype on skincare. And for me, I don't really notice skincare hype. I just use what I like using, or I buy what I'm intrigued by. But one product that has been in my skincare routine for, I want to say 7 years, but it might be 8 years, is actually the Shu Uemura Cleansing Oil. It's my favorite. This is the Pore Finest version. I also like the Ultimate. There's also the green one, which is I think the green one's like the antioxidant one or something. I'm not sure, but brown, pink, or green are my favorites. This is just a smaller bottle. I also, like to buy them in the large bottle, but it's my only way I like to remove my makeup. I do sort of stray sometimes and try different cleansing oils, but I always come back to the Shu Uemura ones. They are a little bit more expensive than your average cleansing oil, but they've been around for 50 years. So they really paved the way for cleansing oils, and any decent cleansing oil on the market these days is probably mimicking Shu Uemura's cleansing oil. But I just think the experience is great. It removes makeup beautifully. It doesn't leave an oily residue. It emulsifies as soon as it hits water. So what I would do with a full face like I'm wearing today, I would take my lashes off. I would put them down. I would put 1 to 2 pumps in my hand. I would rub it in, and I would rub it onto my dry face as is, just like this. And I'll rub it into my eyes a little bit. Then personally, I like to jump in the shower and rinse it off and then go in with another cleanser just to sort of make sure everything is gone. And that removes 99% of my makeup. It's perfect. Or of course, if you're just washing your face at the sink, you'll just go in, rinse it off, and then if you wanted to, you can cleanse. If you're not wearing much makeup or no makeup, you can still use this just as a cleanser, and it's beautiful. So I hear people talk about cleansing oils, but I very rarely hear them talk about the like OG cleansing oil that has changed my sort of skincare routine completely. I feel like ever since I started using it, my skin has become a lot clearer and better, not because there's any products in here that help clear your skin, but because it was probably for the first time I was removing all my makeup really effectively. So cleansing oils in general are fantastic, but I think Shu Uemura is worth the extra splurge because they are a beautiful experience, and I've been using them, like I said, I think it's about 7 years now, and I adore them. So I don't hear enough people talk about Shu Uemura, even though they deserve to be spoken about because they're fantastic. All right, the last thing is a fragrance, and this is my personal favorite fragrance of all time. And I don't really hear people talk about this, but fragrance is very personal. But it is from Calvin Klein, and it's CK2. This is sort of like my signature fragrance. This is my second bottle I've gone through. And I probably would have gone through another bottle if I wasn't trying to use up a lot of my fragrance collection at the moment. So if you followed my Project Pan series last year, I tried to use up 4 fragrances. I did that. This year, I'm also trying to use up more fragrances, and I sort of want to get my collection down to like maybe 2 or 3 fragrances that are sort of like my perfect fragrances, and this is one of them. And I just never hear people talk about CK2. It's a unisex fragrance. It reminds me of a rainy day. To me, it smells like water. I know that's ridiculous, but it smells like a lake or, a rainy day. I know that one of the notes I think is supposed to be pebbles, and I don't know what pebbles smell like. I also don't know what water smells like, but this is pebbly water, rainy day. I don't know. It's beautiful. It's really fresh. It's quite strong. For me, it lasts really well. Fresh fragrances don't generally last very well on me, but this lasts like all day. I've got a little mini one in my handbag. I love it. And my friends now know this as being my scent. So if you want to know what I smell like when I'm not using Project Pan stuff, it's this. I love it. It's my favorite. I love it. It's so good. I love you. You're so good. All right, guys, so those are the products that came to mind when I thought of products that I really, really love, but that aren't really well known in the beauty community or aren't really hyped about, and I think they deserve more hype. I could probably do 10 of these videos because I've got a lot of products in my collection that I really, really love and I don't hear anyone talk about or many people talk about. And that's just been a shift in my, mentality these days. I think with beauty news and researching makeup every single day of the week, I come across things that I'm really interested in. So I try them myself because they pique my interest, or I might hear recommendations from personal friends like Haley, but I don't really buy makeup because it's trendy on YouTube, if that makes sense. So a lot of my most loved things, a lot of people don't really talk about. But the ones that I talked about here were the first that I thought about when I was thinking about this concept. So it's just the tip of the iceberg. So hopefully you enjoyed that, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye.